again, thank you for being here for today's How to Find Your Own Internship info session. So we will now get started. During today's session, we will do a presentation of the Arts Internship Office and the services that we offer, as well as the types of funding that are available for students. And then we have a student speaker, Sophie Price, who will share their experience finding their own internship. And as I mentioned, feel free to send your questions in the chat, and we'll have some time for questions towards the end of the session. So for those of you who are not familiar with the Arts Internship Office, we offer different kinds of opportunities, namely some internship opportunities, but also funding, training, and mentorship that I will talk about today. So I always like to share the timeline of our office just to show, again, now is really the right time to start looking into preparing applications for summer internships. So all of our office's resources focus on internships between May to August, aka summer internships, as there is no co-op program in the Faculty of Arts. So the internships are not a mandatory part of your program. And so since they are more of an independent thing that you can do that is more optional, we really focus resources for outside of the curriculum, outside of your coursework. So firstly, I'm going to talk about the different internship opportunities and how to navigate our website to find them. So we always include the definition of the internship and what differentiates it from a part-time job. So the key elements to making it an internship is really the learning objectives, training, and supervision and mentorship that you'll get from your supervisor. It's always important to go into it with a learner's mindset and to have someone on site that will be able to supervise you and give you mentorship. We always mention as well that it's not necessarily a mandatory part of your studies. As I mentioned, it's not a requirement for your program. However, obviously it adds a lot of benefits to what you're studying in the classroom. However, if you need to prioritize taking a summer course or have other priorities for the time being, sometimes students put a lot of pressure on themselves to find an internship right away, etc. We always encourage students to, make the most out of the resources that are available through our office. However, it's always good to also have a discussion, with us or with yourself to see if it's the right time to do the internship. So again, it's really to differentiate with a part-time job, and we also warn students about certain organizations that can be predatory and put students in unsafe situations. So namely fee-based organizations. So those, unfortunately, we do not support any internships that are through these organizations. The red flags and how to recognize them is really when they ask you to pay upfront costs so a third-party fee-based organization. Again, you can recognize them where they will ask you to pay a large amount of money upfront, and then they promise you a guaranteed placement in an organization. And those organizations can really put you, first of all, they make a lot of money out of students looking for opportunities. And then there's not a lot of security and safety around the placements that they offer. And then we've heard a lot of really bad feedback from students in the past. So we really ask that you please warn us if you see these kind of opportunities, especially if they're being advertised on campus. And we offer a lot of alternative resources that are all free. You should never have to, pay upfront cost in order to just secure a placement. So there are three types of opportunities that we offer through our office. The first being the internship posting. So those are partnerships that we have with organizations. And we have a reserved spot for Faculty of Arts students. And so we've had a different info session for this kind of opportunity. So if you are interested in pursuing that, you can look at the info session. We also offer research internships with our ARIA program, excuse me. So the Arts Undergraduate Research Internship Awards that I will briefly touch on today, but we also have a separate info session for that. So today's info session, we're really going to focus on finding your own internship, meaning if you went through the postings, you looked at ARIA and none of these programs, none of these partnerships are appealing to you, then what else is out there and what other resources do you have access to? How do you find them? And can you get funding for them? So it's good to start with cold emailing. So that would be how to reach out to organizations. So again, when you're looking for your own organization, your own internship, there's two scenarios that can happen. Either similar to our website, you're going to find a very clear schedule, a very clear deadline, and an application form with instructions on how to apply. In that case, it's good to do your research and just note down what the deadline is, because each organization might have a different deadline, and what the requirements are for each organization. And that way it's a lot more guided. But this guide to cold emailing is really, if you look at an organization, usually it might be a smaller organization that does not have maybe the resources to have interns yet. And so you could still, again, cold email, shoot your shot, as we say, and reach out to organizations and see if you can kind of create your own internship within that organization. So before reaching out, it's always important to really do your research about the organization. You don't want to be reaching out and not knowing anything. Again, it will transpire if you are really just saying, hi, I'm just looking for anywhere, anything. Obviously, the organization wants to know that you are aligned with their missions and their values. So making sure that you include a little piece of information, a piece of motivation in that first email. In terms of who to send the email to, so it really depends on the size of the organization. If it's a really small organization, sometimes there's only one or two people in really small organizations. So you can include, sometimes there's only like an info email accessible. So it's really to range depending on the size of the organization. For example, if you're reaching out, again, using an example, don't reach out to Google, but if you're reaching out to Google, don't aim for the CEO, maybe go through the HR, the human resources department. So again, just to think kind of strategically of who is the best person to reach out to based on the organization and based on the size of it as well. So again, if it's a larger organization, do not shoot for the CEO, maybe go for maybe a department where you'd be interested in working in, or a human resources email, or once again, a basic contact information. In that first email, you can briefly, if they don't have any internship posting available whatsoever, you can first introduce yourself very briefly, your program at McGill, your year of study, and kind of state the timeline. Say, I'm looking for an internship within that time frame. So once again, we offer resources for summer internships, so between May to August. So this is really the timeline that we suggest that you do your internship in. It doesn't have to be the entirety of May to August. It could be July and August. Again, we usually recommend 8 to 12 weeks duration for an internship. And so you can state also, again, the dates that you would be available. So for example, you look at our postings and you see that all of the dates don't line up with your availability for the summer, then that could be a good route, to find your own internship based on your availability. So again, important to state what time period you are looking for. In your first email, it's always important to include your CV and to kind of show your profile, your experience, and give them an idea if it would be a good fit for the organization. If it is required, you can always write a cover letter. I would only submit a cover letter if it is required. For example, in an application, in the case that you're cold emailing, it's kind of the body of the email is the cover letter for now. And the important thing about cover letters is really to make them specific. Once again, not to have just a really bland copy paste that you send to everyone, because again, it really shows, it transpires when they are not specific to the organization. So in your first, in your email, you can also ask, would you like me to send a cover letter? But it's easier also to work on the cover letter once you have more details about the potential position. Again, in that first email, you can express your interest for an interview. So again, you want to keep it, you want to add enough details so that you catch their attention, but without overwhelming them with information as well. So you can express your interest for a meeting. If they're in Montreal, it could be great to come to their office, meet in person, or to do a virtual quick meeting to discuss the potential of creating an internship with them. And following up with the organization. So, often we hear back from students, oh, I reached out to this organization, I haven't heard back. And students not knowing what to do. It can happen, especially if it's something outside of their usual task, that organizations just forget to follow up with you. So it's always okay to send a follow-up. Again, don't send it the very next day. Maybe give yourself 1 or 2 weeks. but it's okay to follow up and just say, oh, I just want to make sure you got my email. And, maybe following up a second time, but after that, without pushing it too much either. But again, don't hesitate to try and follow up. Obviously, also anything in person can help if they have any events, the in-person networking elements, creating connections can really help. But again, a guide, a cold email can always also be beneficial as a first point of contact. So right away, I'm going to jump into showing you the resources on our website, because that's really where you'll be able to find the resources for finding your own internship. Some water. So this is the Arts Internship Office website. So as I mentioned, we have some other resources available that you'll be able to find on the website as well. For example, the postings. Those are all the partnerships that we have, and the info session I was mentioning if you are interested in applying for those. But today, again, we're really going to focus on finding your own internship. One aspect to mention as well is that, again, we focus on summer internships, and we also only offer resources for students who are returning to McGill in the same program the next semester. So in the fall 2025, you'd have to be returning. So for graduating students, you could check this section out, and really it would be through the career planning services and the experiential learning opportunities website that you could find some resources for post-graduation. But just to mention that everything I'm going to talk about today in terms of resources available is really for students returning to McGill in the fall. So under Find Your Own Internship, again, I really invite you to read through all this website. It has a lot of really important advice and information on how to go about your search. There is this PDF that we also have printed at the office if ever you prefer that. But it's really a handy tool when you're doing your search. So all these questions about define your interest. I also tell students usually if they come for advising to really, if you're really getting started, to think about location, your interest in general, but also breaking it down. Do you want to stay in Montreal? Are you going back home, wherever that is? What city are you looking into? What country are you looking into? If you want to travel, is there a region in particular? And really breaking it down geographically to what place you would be looking at. And then based on that, it's already going to give you some direction into where to start looking. And so again, all these questions can really help you, and then maybe start doing, a list or a table, Word document, whatever works for you, Excel sheet, and really track down again, do they have an internship posting? Do they have a deadline? What are the requirements for this application process? And if not, when did I reach out? Did I send an email? Did I follow up? So again, staying organized can be very helpful in your search. Setting a realistic timetable. So starting early, again, now is a really good time. As you'll see, a lot of our deadlines are coming up in March. So it's really a good time now to reach out to organizations and let them know, especially if you are starting as early as May. I will also mention all the elements if you are considering traveling outside of Canada. So important to keep in mind. So it's really important, especially if you're traveling outside of Canada, to give yourself enough time to figure out all of the logistics of the travel. You want to start preparing your CV and cover letter. So again, after today, that would really be the best place to get started, especially with your CV. And so we'll show you the different resources you have available to get your CV and cover letter ready. You can always come to our office. I will share the drop-in hours as well, and come to talk to our staff. We're located in the Leacock building, room 307, to kind of talk about your interest more specifically. Again, online and in person. So again, I won't read through the whole page, but I really invite you to look through this handy step-by-step. And it's some reminders of things I will be mentioning today. So CV and cover letter, again, this is really the concrete place where you can get started in terms of being ready for applications. So if you've never written a CV or a cover letter, or even if you have, I really invite you to look at the guides. If you're just getting started from, again, the career planning services, I'll be quoting them a lot. Just to explain also the career planning services. So we at DAO, we only work with the Faculty of Arts students for internships. However, the career planning services, they are offering services for everyone on campus, every faculty, and they offer resources not only for internships, but also for career planning. So they have a really wide range of resources. So it's really important to use their resources as well. It's very complementary to whatever we can offer you at the AIO. So again, they have a series of videos, but they also have these guides that, once again, if you prefer have them printed, we have some printed at the office. And once again, they offer some really important advice and also some templates that are very straightforward and really good to reuse when you're getting started. So I really invite you to go through these guides when you're first getting started. And then once you have a draft ready, you can go to their advising appointment. You could book an appointment, but I also invite you to go to their drop-in hours. So they have them Monday to Friday for 15 minutes, or you can book your own appointments. And during those appointments, you can bring your drafts of your CV or your cover letter, and you'll have a career advisor go through it with you and give you some feedback on your documents. And so I really invite every single student to use those resources because they are immensely helpful. Also with the career planning services, so the main McGill database and the main portal for any job or internship opportunity will be on the My Future database. So if you click on this link, unfortunately, I cannot show you any further than that because as a staff, I do not have access. So I do not actually know what it currently looks like. They just switched it this year. I mean, it is supposed to, I lose the login page, but again, as a student, you should be able to have access. And it is really the centralized website and database for any job opportunities on campus. And so again, you can chat with the career planning services about this resource. Additionally to this database, we have another one that is not as big as the My Future database. You have to log in with your McGill credentials, but we do have a small database with organizations that students in the Faculty of Arts have done internships with in the past. So for the main part, those are all internships that students found on their own. So again, they might have a really wide array of areas of interest, but it can also give you some ideas. For example, if you're in economics, the Chamber of Commerce, location-wise, they have offices all around for each country. You can look up the Chamber of Commerce, each city. Same for if you're in diplomacy, you can look at embassies and consulates and see for each city in each country if they have anything coming up. Or for museums, that's also very location based. So things like that, again, that can really expand and that can give you some ideas. And for this database, so again, these are not McGill endorsed, and they are not partnerships that we have. It's really just us giving you links and trying to link you either to their contact page or their career page if they have one. And then again, so you'll be able to look through, and that can also just be a place where you get some ideas of where to look for internship opportunities. So that's the second database. And then, so the main part when it comes to funding, so if you find your own internship, you would be eligible to apply for Faculty of Arts Internship Awards if you meet the eligibility criteria. And just before I show you that, also we have some words of advice about applying to internships in your first year, because that's a question that we often get. We definitely encourage students to apply in their first year, again, even through our postings. But finding your own internship can also be the perfect way for you to be able to do an internship in your first year, because you can really cater to the experience that you do have, and again, kind of make your own internship and based on the qualifications that you currently have. And then again, so I invite you to read through this paragraph, but again, using the resources, especially as a first year, we have a lot of students that come in the office and say, oh, I'm just out of high school, I don't have any experience, but it's really about how everyone does have experience, again, once you get to McGill. And so it's really about how you frame those experiences and how you word them in your CV and cover letter. So again, going to the career planning services advisors is the main way to go forward with that. You can also attend the workshops that I'll be mentioning in just a minute. And again, make sure that you review all the requirements for those opportunities. There's also a link here to, again, if your lack of experience is a worry of yours, the micro projects and micro placements. Again, this is one of the career planning services resources. But these are experiential learning opportunities that are very short, again, over the March break, I believe. Or actually, sorry, this year it's in May, so in mid-May. So again, if you are going into applications and feeling like you would like to boost your experiences, I really invite you to look through these resources and just the career planning services more generally, because they have a lot of opportunities to really build your experiences. And again, anything you do on campus can be put on your CV. And so it's really important to consult the career advisors to do that. So as I was mentioning, if you find your own internship, and if it's unpaid or if it involves a lot of costs related to travel, then you could apply for the funding through our office. So as I mentioned earlier, the March deadline. So the deadline is on March 16th. And so you apply for the funding once you've secured the internship. So we are going to have another info session for that specifically next week. This is the one from last year, but we'll be having another one on February 5th. So you want to make sure to review the eligibility criteria. So it's open to full-time faculty of our students, either undergrad or graduate students and master's students. You have to be returning to McGill in the same program the semester following the internship. And you need to have secured the internship between May to August, and needs to be around 8 to 12 weeks. There's a GPA requirement of 2.7. However, if you have a GPA that is under, there is room for explaining that in your application. Again, we will take it into consideration, but it's really to see if this is, again, the right time to do an internship. If you're, scholar, we always put forward your degree and your grades. And yeah, just to see as well, again, there's 3 applications per organization, just because we've had in the past one organization have a lot of students apply from the same place. In terms of ineligibility, so activities that are primarily academic research, so anything that is working with another university or professors, either on campus or off campus, would not qualify for this funding. It is really for experiential learning in organizations. Again, if you are interested in academic research internships, then you could look into our ARIA program. That's the only way that we would fund research activities. Any field studies or courses, again, that are already funded through other means and McGill. As I mentioned earlier, so any internships with third-party and fee-based placement organizations. So once again, an organization where you pay a fee and they guarantee you placement because of safety reasons. We do not support that. And then, as I mentioned, also we have our postings, and these are already funded. So you cannot apply for the same organization that is already advertised through our postings. We also say for if you are working with a for-profit, corporate, or privately held company, those internships should be paid. And so if they are unpaid and you're applying for funding, we ask that you please schedule a meeting with me beforehand, before applying. Again, the reason for that is the safety of the student in mind, and to make sure that you're not going into something that is exploitative. I always say, if you're going to Google and they're not paying you, maybe something's a little wrong here. However, again, for-profits is a wide array of organizations. So if you're unsure, but you should always ask first for them to compensate you for your work. But if you are unsure, or if there are travel expenses, etc., then it is really case by case. So we really invite you to come and talk to our office. And then again, you can review the selection criteria. I won't get into too many details for the application process, since we'll be addressing that in the next info session next week. You can also find all of the information about our research internships on the ARIA section of the website. The travel information is here as well. We also had an info session last semester on how to prepare for international internships, and I'll be mentioning them in my slides. Our mentorship program is also kind of closed off for this semester. However, for the future, if you'd like to be involved, you can register as a mentee if you'd like to be paired with a past intern who's just completed an internship. However, for now, if you'd like to be put in contact with a past intern, you can always just send us an email, and we'd be happy to put you in touch with past students. The for student section has a lot of information that I'll be mentioning about credits and co-curricular records. The event section, you can find all the events coming up, like the ones from today and the ones coming up that I'll be mentioning. You can find all of the registration links. And as I just mentioned, if you'd like to be put in touch with past interns, you can also read through their stories on this section of the website, both from the ARIA internships and students who found their own, and the postings interns. And again, if there's one of these students that really inspires you and you'd like to be put in touch with them, just send us an email at aio@mcgill.ca, and we'll be happy to put you in touch with them. And finally, for the website, so as I mentioned, also we have drop-in hours in the Leacock building, room 307, and so Monday to Thursday. We're also open the rest of the week if you'd like to just come by, but those are the hours where the door is open and we're ready to welcome you. If ever you'd like to set up a different appointment, you can also email us at this email. And also our newsletter, yes, the instructions are here if you'd like to sign up for the listserv. So at this time of the year, we'll also be forwarding some opportunities that are sent to us by email and that we can only promote by email. And so if you'd like to not miss out on those opportunities, make sure to sign up to our newsletter. And we also send a monthly newsletter with a summary of all of the upcoming events and workshops. So that's it for the website. So as I quickly mentioned, for traveling interns, so if you're considering going outside of Canada or even outside of Montreal, there are some travel requirements. And those are all being monitored by the McGill Abroad office and the Safety Abroad officer, Lisa Campbell. So again, outside of Montreal, if you end up finding an internship, even if it's in Ottawa or Toronto, you're going to have to enter it through the travel registry app. So that's an app that you download on your phone. And you enter your contact information and the location of your internship so that McGill can be in touch with you in case of an emergency. And if you are considering going outside of Canada, then you have to look into the pre-departure orientation. So it's usually recommended to do it 3 to 6 months prior to departure. It's not binding. So again, if you're just thinking, if you're considering at all going outside of Canada, then it's good to look into it now. The way it works, so you can click on the link or just Google pre-departure orientation McGill. It works by cycle of registration. So if you go on the McGill Abroad website, the next cycle would be between February 3rd and February 10th. And once you register, then it's going to show up on your My Courses, and you'll have until the 28th to complete the course. I think it usually takes around an hour to complete it. And then by the end, you'll have a certificate of completion. And you want to make sure that you download that safely onto your computer so that you can upload it to future applications if you end up going for an international opportunity. It's also valid for a year. So if you already had it done for example, going on exchange, then you can reuse the same certificate for your internship applications. But again, if you are considering going abroad for this summer, then please write down in your calendar for February 3rd. Next thing to look at as well, if you're going to do a university-related opportunity, meaning if you're going to apply for an award or getting credits, etc., you want to make sure that your country of destination is in the 1 or 2 categories of the Government of Canada's travel advisories. So again, to show you what it looks like, it's a quick Google search. You just go on to the Government of Canada's, again, travel advisories. And you want to make sure that the country of destination is in the green or yellow zone because McGill will not be able to fund or support any opportunities that are in the orange or red zones. So again, you want to make sure of that before you submit your applications. Funding opportunities. So once again, if you're applying for any of these opportunities, you want to make sure your country of destination is in the yellow or green zones. As I mentioned, again, our research internship awards, so they are only open to undergraduate students who are returning in the fall. The GPA requirement is more, not strong, but more of a harsh requirement for this program because it is an academic program. So we do require students to have a strong experience in research. And you need to have completed at least 60 credits by the start of the internship. And the deadline to apply is February 23rd. As I was mentioning earlier, so again, very relevant to today's info session, is the Faculty of Arts Internship Award. So if you find your own internship and it is unpaid, or if there's a travel requirements, then you can apply for the awards. The deadline for that is March 16th. That's open to both undergraduate and graduate students who have an internship offer, and for a summer internship, 8 to 12 weeks. There is also additional funding available. So even if you do apply for the Faculty of Arts Internship Awards, additionally, you could also apply for the EEO bursary. So the EEO is the name that the Scholarship and Student Aid Office It's one of the categories that can be recognized in order to get the need-based bursary. So you need to meet the requirements of the Scholarship and Student Aid Office. And on our end, so again, our office would be the ones who vet the internship and confirm that the faculty approves of the internship. And then once you have the approval from the faculty, then you could go to the Scholarship and Student Aid Office and see if you meet the requirements for the EO bursary, so the enriched educational opportunity. And so in order to get the approval from the faculty, there's two ways to get the approval. You could have your internship recognized on your co-curricular record. Let's just call it CCR. So the CCR is a document that recognizes any involvement outside of the classroom, including internships. So if you're familiar with the My Involvement platform, there's also a lot more workshops and a kind of skill training that you can do and have it recognized officially on your co-curricular record. And that can be used in addition to your CV, and it can be sent directly from McGill to potential employers or educational institutions in the future. So again, that's also independently of the EO bursary. You can also do that for any of your internships. And so you can apply for that through our office. And you can also, so again, the CCR and the academic credits are independent from each other. So if you're getting academic credit, it cannot be on the CCR and vice versa. On the academic credits, there are certain departments that offer credit courses for doing an internship. Sorry, not just for doing the internship, it's really an academic course that you take after doing the internship, where you write a research paper usually based on what you did during the internship. So the timeline is that you have to apply before you begin your internship. So the time between you getting your confirmation of your internship and before the start date. And then the course is taken in the fall. So for example, in this case, you'll be doing your summer internship. And then when you come back in the fall, you will already be registered to do a course with a supervising professor in your department. And again, do academic research based on what you did during your internship. It's an offer, but it is not required. Again, there's no co-op program, so there is no way to get a credit just for doing the internship, and you cannot get credit while doing the internship. It's really a course that you take afterwards. And not all departments offer the course, and each department sets their own eligibility requirements. So if you go again on our website under for students and academic credits, you can see on the left-hand menu the list of departments that do offer the course. And I really invite you to go on each and read through the requirements as they all have different requirements. Some of them have a GPA requirement. A lot of them have a credit requirement or a different, major, minor. So you can go to your departmental advisor as well. And you need to find an academic supervisor who will supervise you during the course, again, is taken in the fall. So if there's any questions, feel free to also come to our office and ask any questions about that. In terms of training opportunities, so again, our office not only offers info sessions and workshops during the year, but also during the internship. So if you are selected for an internship or an internship award, then you have certain meetings that are mandatory and some are optional before, during, and after. So there is reception. So again, you really become part of the cohort. There's an awards reception to celebrate your achievements, and then some workshops that are offered to also make the most out of your internship, and interpositionality to really help you prepare being in different cultural contexts or just in a different internship context that is very different from your school time, as well as after your internship. So a debriefing session and resources to update your CV once your internship is done. And so currently, as I was mentioning, I really invite you to go to the career planning services to get your CV and cover letter reviewed. You can always use their guides or go to drop-in appointments. They are located in the Brown Student Services building on McTavish. So we're just in Leacock, and they're just across the street in Brown's building. And you can always either also give them a call or an email if you cannot make it to their drop-in appointments. We also have at the AIO some workshops to help you prepare your CV writing and cover letter, as well as interview preparation. So tomorrow we have a cover letter writing workshop. Again, all of this can be found on the events section of our website. These are all virtual workshops. They are not recorded, but you can bring your questions again and ask them to the external. We have an external facilitator that is really an expert in CV cover letter writing, so they'll be able to help you with any of your questions. We have some other info sessions. So we have some department specific info sessions tomorrow, or again, the rest of the week. And then next week, as I mentioned, we'll have the AIO Awards info session that will talk about the awards application process. As I just mentioned, again, all of these info sessions and workshops can be found on the website if you want to register for any of them. And I will now take a break from talking and let our student speaker, Sophie, share their experience finding their own internship in Sarajevo.
Hi, everybody. So yeah, that was me. The past summer, wait, let me introduce myself first. My name is Sophie, and I actually just finished with like all my studies in December. So I am done. And I double majored in political science and history with a minor in environment. And last summer, I interned at Post-Conflict Research Center, which is a grassroots NGO in Sarajevo in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Um, and I guess a little bit about how I found that internship. I find it really useful to kind of work backwards. So like set a goal and then work backwards from there. So if you haven't set up a LinkedIn yet, I highly recommend you do that. LinkedIn is my favorite social media platform. So I was just kind of like looking into organizations and companies that I really liked. I think I was looking into Council on Foreign Affairs. And I, go to the section where it's like, do people who go to my university work here? So that's like a place to start when you want to work backwards. So I went and I looked, and there's actually a graduate student who was a TA in political science who had worked for Council of Foreign Affairs. And so I looked at her CV and I'm like, okay, so like, what is she doing to get her a job there? And I found, among with a lot of other really impressive things, that she worked for PCRC while she was an undergrad. So I looked into that, and then I found their like schedule. They had like applications 3 times a year for fall, summer, and spring. So I just put it on my calendar and I was like, this is what I'm doing this summer. And then it was unpaid. So I was so thankful that, I was able to get an AIO award, because I would not have been able to go, because travel is expensive. And on top of that, I also got a EEO as well, because it was expensive. So
So much. That's a really good advice, again, using LinkedIn and working backwards. Again, it's very interesting and great to have students share their experience, because again, I did internships, but it's been a couple of years. And each each person's experience is very different and individual. So again, we try to give advice, but obviously that can look different for a lot of students. But again, for students that are here, to be put in touch with past interns, that's always the best way to hear about their experience, and especially in your department. But obviously, again, the word networking is really thrown around a lot. But whether it's virtual networking, again, talking to your professors, we heard from a student also recently who approached a professor in their department and said, are there any organizations that you work with or that you are familiar with that are looking for interns? So again, using all the resources, not only our office, the career planning services, and really connecting with people around you can really help beyond just the Google searches and the databases. So yeah, thank you so much, Sophie, again, for taking the time, being a graduate as well, to come and share. And feel free to stick around if anyone has questions. Otherwise, if Sophie agrees, I can put you in touch as well. And I'm just wrapping up now. Key deadlines I've mentioned. So our postings are due February 9th. Again, even if you are applying for postings, we always recommend that you look for other places as well. You always want to apply to a certain number of organizations, put your eggs in multiple baskets. The ARIA deadline is due on February 23rd, and the award deadline on March 16th. to keep in touch with our office. So as I mentioned, the listserv and newsletter is very important at this time of the year. We try not to spam your inbox too much, but again, we share as we receive opportunities. That can also be a different way to get to hear about opportunities. And we send a monthly newsletter with all of our events and workshops coming up. You can also follow us on social media. As I mentioned, also our email is always there if you have any questions or if you want to book an appointment. We also invite you to come to the drop-in hours in Lakeart Room of 7 and to register for the upcoming events that are all linked on the website. So these are the office hours. If you want to come and talk to our staff, once again, that's also on the website under the contact page. And I think we're a little ahead of schedule, but again, more times for questions if anyone has any. To kick us off, because I don't see any in the chat. So some commonly asked questions, whether it's possible to get an internship as a U0 or as a first year, or should you wait? So I think definitely, again, if it is an interest that you have and you have the time for the summer, I think it's always great to get started in your first year, at least to break the barrier of, the fear of applying, the fear of rejection, kind of building your portfolio, or at least starting to think if you do want to do an internship in the future, where, as Sophie was mentioning, what kind of like are your goals? And again, I know a lot of students might not have a clear goal, especially as a first year. But again, an internship doesn't mean it's the positive thing about an internship is that it's not set in stone. It's really a trial period. And, you can experience something within your field or outside of your field of study and see how you like it. And it's a lot better than just already signing up for a career in something without even trying it before. So that's why we really recommend students do internships. And if you want to look through, again, beyond the databases, you can also go through the award recipients page. Again, that is on our website if you go under funding award recipients. And then all of the past 20 years of award recipients are found on our website. And you can do a search. So just to show you the number of first years that we've had. Again, I'm not lying. We've had first years. One of them also works for our office now, Simone. And so as you can see, multiple of these students have found their own internship. For example, Cassie in New York in public relations. So again, that's something that is very different than what we offer in our postings. But Cassie was able to reach out to that organization and kind of make their own internship posting, within that. And then we have a number of also U1 students who found their internship, who were selected for internships. So again, we really recommend that, don't be scared. Again, if there's any element of your profile where you think, oh, just because of that, I don't think I'll be competitive. Again, if you use the resources on campus and around you, I think you have all the chances to have a competitive application. And it's really about how you frame your experience and how you get ready for it. And again, this page can also be an interesting place to look at the different organizations that students have worked in. You can also go by major, for example, political science, and kind of seeing what kind of internships students in political science have done, etc., based on your department. So that's another resource. Pursuing an internship outside of Canada. So just make sure to read through the travel tab. Again, I very briefly mentioned the main requirements. However, there's a lot more that goes into it, and we want to make sure that students feel prepared while going abroad. And so you want to make sure to give yourself some time as well to figure out the details to travel. Pursuing an internship that is not directly related to your major. So as I was just saying, again, it's good to explore the different areas of interest. And you can always explain in your application as well, this is what I'm studying at the moment. However, I have an interest in exploring a different field. And so that's always encouraged as well. And again, even within the same field, there can be a lot of different routes that a student can take when it comes to career. So it's very important and really beneficial to try it out. Even if you have a less than ideal internship experience, you go to an office and you realize you hate offices. Well, at least you figured it out, in your first year rather than in your third year, and that's not what you want to do at all. Again, if you are interested in research, then I really encourage you to go to the ARIA program. Again, if you don't meet the requirements yet, just to know that it exists also for your upcoming years. You get to work with a faculty member at McGill campus and work on your own research and then present your research to the rest of the faculty. So it's really an amazing opportunity. And if you are interested in pursuing graduate studies, that can be a very beneficial experience to your CV. All right, that's enough of me talking. We're a pretty small group, so if anyone wants to write in the chat or just unmute yourself, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. If there's no questions, I will let you go early. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. And again, this was recorded, so if there's any parts that I spoke too fast or you want to go back to, it will be published on the website. And yeah, we hope to see your applications and see you at the office for drop-in hours. Again, feel free to come with your questions and we'd be